This is Jim Minion from Two Loose Screws. I'm listening to BBQ Central.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right, good evening, and welcome to the Really Big BBQ Central Show. A show that talks about all things barbecue and grilling. Originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. The barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rimpey. Happy to have you aboard here on your quarterfinal PSAC Athletic Conference Tuesday. That's what you see on your video screen here. I didn't think it was actually going to get this far into the match where I would have to start the show. Thought we were actually going to get our asses handed to us, but coming back from 0-2, we are now up 17-11 here in set number 4, best of 5. Against East Stroudsburg University. If you want to get in touch with the show, here's how you do it.
You can get in touch with the show by calling 216-220-0966. Email Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com. On the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Everything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you didn't get the newsletter. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, he is a barbecue Hall of Famer. He is a BBQ Central Show guest Hall of Famer. He is the third Tuesday of the month regular guest spot here on this show. The most prolific book writer when it comes to live fire, cooking out there today. TV show host, cooking class instructor, the list goes on and on. Stephen Raichlen will be joining us, and we have plenty of things to talk about with Stephen, not the least of which is a whole bunch of Thanksgiving stuff, because, folks, if you didn't know it, Thanksgiving is coming up in just over a week, so make sure you have everything ready to go. Stephen and I will make sure that you are in best efforts to get your Thanksgiving heading in the right direction. Then, after Stephen bumped him up from the second hour because we had a scheduling redo, usually you'll find Robin Lindar as the grill girl following Stephen Raichlen third Tuesday. She's begged off and will rejoin us next week. Sterling Ball from Big Poppa Smokers will be joining us instead at 9:35. And we'll talk to him about this past weekend's Smithfield National BBQ Cup or barbecue contest, which was billing itself as crowning a overall national barbecue champion regardless of sanctioning body. So if you weren't listening to any of the reads that I have done through the course of the year calling attention to the national barbecue, then you're not paying any attention, or you're fast forwarding through all of the reads. Shame on you. But Sterling Ball, a big part of that, and we'll talk to him about the contest, how it went over the course of the 3-day cook. Obviously, there was a scoring error that was brought to my attention on Sunday that we quickly rifled through. Found it to be a simple user's error, but we will not gloss over that, and we will address it, give it its just due for the 2 or 3 minutes that it really deserves, because we're not going to allow it to mar what was otherwise a great contest. But we will talk about it, and Sterling was very upfront saying that he wanted to answer any and all questions. So we will talk with Sterling Ball 9:35. Then at 10:14, as we press into that second hour, we will find a friend of show. He is Weber's product manager and grill master. And if you have been off social media the last 48 hours, especially Instagram and Facebook, then you have missed basically what is the entrance of Weber's products into the pellet cooker market. It's called the Smoke Fire. In a lot of senses, it's a another pellet cooker. In some other senses, it's a little bit different than what you would normally see. From the nuts and the bolts, the configuration, the look, where the pellet hopper is located, all these things. Weber putting their own twist on it. Also, as you look at it, aesthetically, the first thing you think of is, hey, that's a Weber. No doubt about it. Porcelain coated, black. You have shininess on it, all the good stuff. And Kevin will be joining us to talk about the pellet cooker and how the introduction went over the last 2 days. And then we'll really get into the nuts and bolts of it, right? Price points, sizes, when can you get it, what sets it apart. So I have Kevin coming in at 10:14, but there's a very good chance that we will run over the allotted first segment and then press into the second segment, assuming he's got nothing better to do. And, you know, it is a little cold in Chicago right now, so you might want to stay inside and hang out and chat with the BBQ Central show and all the Centralites here. So that's what's happening this evening, 216-220-0966. If you want to get in, Greg at the BBQ Central show is your email address. Quick scoring update. If you are watching here, Seton Hill, which is the team we want to win, up 21-18 in this set. Service going into the net. And that'll bring it to 22-18. Oh, my. It looks like this one's going to be pressing to a fifth and final set. And as we all know, the fifth set, a race to 15. As senior Taylor Sable is entering in with a serve. And that is out. Oh, dear. Service error. That is a momentum breaker. 22-19. As they continue on in the fourth set. They're playing in East Stroudsburg, which is like an hour and 25 minutes away from New York City. So if we didn't have shown, if this was a Friday night, we might be at East Stroudsburg and then a quick trip into the city. That's right. Take on some food and sights and sounds, all the good stuff. So you're going to have to kind of self-indulge me here as I see what's going to happen here in the fourth set, and then I'll take it off here. But in the open, I figure we'll just share with everybody. Oh, that's a tip, 22-20. Stroudsburg mounting a little bit of a momentum comeback here. If you can follow me socially, if you're not, I would really like it if you would, at BBQ Central Show on Instagram and Twitter, as a timeout's called there on the volleyball floor. You can also follow me on Facebook, /BBQ Central Show there. Also a live feed of video on Facebook. One of the continuing topics on this show has been the Popeye's chicken sandwich. And I'm scrolling through to see if okay, this isn't the one I was thinking about. But fast food fans have been desperately, again with the ad blocker, I swear. I wouldn't have to use an ad blocker if you didn't run 7 billion ads on your stupid clickbait web page. Fast food fans have been desperately trying to get their hands on Popeye's hugely popular chicken sandwiches after it returned a week or so ago. Videos show a man leaping out of his vehicle to punch another, staff spilling out of a branch as they fight, and even altercations once customers made it inside the restaurants. This sandwich has really taken over, and this time around, I mean, while there were long lines and not enough supply and all this stuff, the last time during the summer, we've seen a tremendous amount more violence this round here as we approach the high holiday season. There have been shootings and stabbings. There have been riots. From a strictly physical standpoint, man, oh man, I don't remember the last time I have seen such violence spill over for a fast food chicken sandwich. By the way, I would like to say that if you missed the show last week, I did have Daniel Vaughn on in the second hour, a well-respected and the first barbecue editor in the country, full-time at Texas Monthly, by the way. Widely respected to be kind of a food expert. People learn or lean on him for food knowledge. And when I pressed him about if he had the chicken sandwich, yes, he did. He did say that he wasn't really willing to wait in line, per se. That's going to be 4. Damn it. 22-21. He said he wouldn't wait in line. However, there was a Popeyes that he was passing. There was one in line. Car ahead of him. He stopped, grabbed the chicken sando, pulled off to the side, ate it, and then proceeded to give it a 7 out of 10 overall rating. And this isn't 7 out of 10 on the fast food scale, okay? This was 7 out of 10 all-time food he has ever eaten in his life, on a scale of 1 being the worst and 10 being the most prolific thing you've ever put in your mouth ever. He gave it a 7 out of 10. So he was really on board, really pro chicken sando. And I'm here to tell you that within the week's span that has taken place, I have not...
Andrew, you are not the father.
I have not even really thought about trying to, find a Popeyes, and I don't have to find a Popeyes that hard. There's one 5 minutes from my house in Euclid. And I've never thought twice about going and grabbing the chicken sando. And I'm not being a tough guy, and I'm just going to not do it now, all blah, blah, blah. Forget that. It's just not on the top of my head. I'm missing out on it, I guess. I did find time on Wednesday, though, to go to Larder Delicatessen, a James Beard Award-nominated deli, and get their fried chicken sando, which is life-changing. Hey, let me talk to you about Big Poppa Smokers, because he's going to be on in the next segment. He'll be on after Steven. If you're looking to improve the flavor of your competition barbecue or your home barbecue, you got to try their seasonings. 13 perfectly balanced flavors, as we know. They also have a great partnership with Steph Raichlen and the folks over at Simply Marvelous Barbecue. Oh, my God. BigPoppaSmokers.com is the website if you want rubs. They also own Granny's barbecue sauce, so if you're sick of the same old, you might want to give Granny's a try. Now, they do have the hardware as well. You want cookers? They got all kinds of cookers. If you like pellet cookers, we're going to be talking about pellet cookers tonight in the second hour. They are the online retailer for Mac pellet cookers, right? You know they are. Easy to use. Mac 2-star General pellet cooker is what Sterling uses. Meathead uses that as well. If you're not a fan of pellet cookers, try the Old Hickory Ace BP, the only charcoal smoker that Big Poppa trusts on his competition trailer. If you're not sure of what kind of grill you need, all you have to do is go over to BigPoppaSmokers.com and take a look at what they have. You can also ask them any questions that you want before you buy. 877-828-0727. Damn it! 877-828-0727. Or shop the website BigPoppaSmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA Smokers.com. We're going to be heading out here for just a second as we rile up Steven Raichlen. We're 23-23 in East Stroudsburg, and they are on serve. Set to Parks. That's not going to cut it. Back over to Stroudsburg. The block is up, but the block is out. Now they're up 24-23 for set and match point. We'll keep it right here. I'm feeling like the call right now. 24-23, this is match point. Farian rotates out. Libero for East Stroudsburg is going to be on serve here. And the ref calls for the ball. It's do or die right now. Serves up and over. Short up. Sable sets Lavorce. She's blocked. Lavorce back over on 2. East Stroudsburg back set. That's not going to cut it. Lavorce up. And it's blocked back down. Sable back up. Parks is going to have to do something with it. That's going to creep over on East Stroudsburg side. And the right side is going to put it out. Now we're tied back up at 24. Oh, my. We're going to break. Stick around.
Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Had to turn it off. I don't know how that's going to work out. Oh, that's heartbreaking. All right, this portion of the show being brought to you by Butcher's Barbecue, makers of award-winning injections, marinades, rubs, and seasonings, barbecue sauce, and grilling oils. All Butcher Barbecue products tested on the competition circuit as well as backyards worldwide. Be the pitmaster of your neighborhood, your cul-de-sac, whatever you like. ButcherBBQ.com. That's ButcherBBQ.com. And you should always trust your butcher. By the way, Butcher's Barbecue and Dave Bosca has a brand new podcast out. So if you like barbecue-related podcasts, then that is one you're going to want to check out. I think you can just go to ButcherBBQ.com and catch the first episode, which is with the son Levi Bosca, and they talk about the Butcher Barbecue stand. Very cool stuff. Central Lights, the third Tuesday of the month, means a visit from a Barbecue Hall of Famer and a Barbecue Central Show guest Hall of Famer, multiple Halls of Fame is this guy, Stephen Raichlen. Hey, Stephen.
How you doing?
I'm absolutely fabulous, Stephen. Appreciate you making time for the show, as always, as we lead into the Thanksgiving holiday just a little over a week away. And certainly we'll get into that here in a second. But if you would allow me to pull out the proverbial soapbox for one, Stephen Raichlen. And I told you in advance that I was going to at least try and pick your brain a little bit about this phenomenon known as the Popeye's chicken sandwich. And I'm interested in your take on this phenomenon. Where are you standing on it?
Well, I'm standing in ignorance because I have to confess I have never been to a Popeyes. I do not do set fast food, period. So if you ask me about McDonald's, if you ask me about Burger King, if you ask me about Kentucky Fried Chicken, I would draw a blank.
So you're just not a fast food, like have you just never eaten fast food, or you just made it a edict to not be a part of that?
I think the last time I went to a fast food joint was maybe when I was 13 or 14. No, it's just not,
Really?
You know, I'm a made from scratch guy and a quality food guy. I just don't do fast food.
So between, if the option was fast food or nothing, you would choose nothing until you could do it the way you wanted to.
Fast food or fasting, I would take fasting.
Wow, all right.
I like fasting anyway. It's a kind of a vacation.
Absolutely. Stephen Raichlen joining us here. Are you into any crazy diet stuff, like you do keto or any of those wacky things?
No, I eat for pleasure. I try and eat in a healthy manner. I try and remember the words of Julia Child, who was asked about, butter and cream and eggs. And she said moderation. And I try and eat moderation in all things. But for me, food is above all about pleasure.
Stephen Raichlen joining us here on the show as he does the third Tuesday of every month. BarbecueBible.com is his website. All right, Stephen, so let's go ahead and run through the Thanksgiving stuff here. Yep.
By the way, if I just may say, I don't mean to sound like a snob. It's just not something I do. It just never appealed to me, and I never got it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any need to qualify or worry about sounding like a snob. You, as I always say, people should eat what they want to eat, and I'm a big believer in moderation. Sometimes I've learned that things are okay to eat, and maybe some things, like I've completely cut out pop, and I used to be a huge, or soda, depending on how you say it, depending on where you are in the country. But I used to drink 5 and 6 and maybe 7 cans of soda at a time, and now I've completely cut it out, and I feel much better for it. Obviously, the processed sugar and all that stuff is also a side benefit, the money savings. So, but I believe in moderation as well. And what I've come to find with pop is kind of weird. It's really, it's not that I liked the sugar or the caffeine or anything like that. I just like the fuzzy part of the water. So I just started drinking seltzer water, and that pretty much fixed everything.
Hey, that's where I am too.
I love it. All right, so let's go ahead and start tackling some Thanksgiving stuff here. And we have 2019 Thanksgiving coming up. For the Reichlens, first, where does Thanksgiving rate on your overall holiday celebrations of all the other ones that are through the course of the calendar year?
Certainly in the top 3. Love Thanksgiving. I love turkey. I love all the foods associated with Thanksgiving. I used to love the weather when I lived in New England, that crisp, cool. Of course, I live in Miami now, so it's always a little bit disconcerting and disconnecting to have Thanksgiving when it's 80 degrees out and you're sitting under the shade of palm trees. But but I will tell you one thing. I know there's been kind of a lot of buzz about spatchcocking a chicken, spatchcocking a turkey. And that is one dish you will never find on the Raichlen holiday table.
Why not?
I think a bird's It should be whole. It should be beautiful. You eat with your eyes as well as your palate. And when you spatchcock a turkey, to me, it looks like you ran over it with a steamroller.
See, now I'm
Enough
gonna go ahead and give you the counterpoint to that. Aside from it cooking more quickly and, in my estimation, more evenly because everything's laying flat. I mean, not totally evenly, but more evenly than if you had the void in it. I think the presentation of a spatchcock bird is a little bit more satisfying to my eyeball when I lay it out there because you can see everything just laying there. And from an ease of butchery standpoint, you can take that turkey down much more easily than you would a whole bird that now you're going to have to work with as it, sits without its head and legs or feet.
Well, you know what? I'm not sure everything should be easy, and there is a great ceremony in the carving of a turkey, and it usually falls to a senior member of the family, and it's a tradition that is passed on from father to son or from mother to daughter. And I like that ceremony. I don't, I think there's certain meals that shouldn't be easy, and Thanksgiving is one of them.
All right, so let's talk about the.
My goodness, I'm a real contrarian tonight.
I'm telling you, Stephen, I've never met such a big snob in my life. Oh my God, I'm under protest now. Let's talk about the star of the whole show. That would be the turkey. Well, I mean, I guess everybody's star might be different on Thanksgiving. It could be the cranberry sauce that comes out of a jar, which I love, but that's probably a different story for a different day.
What?
Is that
you don't start with cranberries and make your cranberry sauce yourself?
much like your
cranberry out of a jar?
Much like you're carving a turkey and passing it down to generation, for generations, at least as I was growing up, cranberry came out of the tin can and had all the ribbed sides to it, and you cut it in a circular disc, slurped it down, and it was utterly delicious. And that's what Thanksgiving was to me, believe it or not.
You know what? You're absolutely right. And I think we're going to add a can of cranberry sauce to our homemade cranberry sauce just for tradition.
Well,
and in my family, what we used to do, my aunt actually used to carve a smiley face into one of those slices.
Nice.
Just because you could.
That's right. So let's go ahead and talk turkey here just for a second, pardon the pun. From a size standpoint, I think there majestically is this fascination with a 20 and 22 and 25-pound bird, and it takes up 98% of the oven. And there's the whole Norman Rockwell picture that everybody builds in their minds. But what's your target size for turkey?
Man, I like a 12 to 14. I think you can control the cooking more easily. You can brine it more easily, carve it more easily. And if you have a large enough crowd that you need twice that much, I'd rather go with two birds that size than one jumbo bird.
From a frozen or fresh turkey, I had talked to Meathead last year, and he had given me a bit of information that I wasn't necessarily familiar with. And he said, really what you want to get is a frozen bird, because this whole fresh concept is a little convoluted in the fact that the birds can be taken down to a certain temperature that are that are trending more towards frozen, but because they're staying within that guideline, they can technically still be called fresh, and that the taste isn't as good. But a frozen bird is a frozen bird. They whack it, they freeze it, boom, and then all you have to do is allow for the thawing time. Your thoughts on fresh or frozen birds?
Well, once again, I'm going to disagree with Meathead, which is something I do fairly often. I would much rather have a fresh bird.
All right.
And I would much rather have an heirloom bird, which is one of those old-timey varieties that was raised for flavor and not just for enormous breast size.
Is that a specialty get somewhere? Like you got to know someplace that sells those?
Well, there are different companies that sell heirloom birds. Crowd Cow is one. There are many companies on the internet. I think on my website, as a matter of fact, we've got sources for heirloom birds. But I think having dispensed with the misguided notion of spatchcocking. By the way, I like spatchcocking chicken, spatchcocking game hen. That's fine. I love it. Turkey. Norman Rockwell. I visited that museum a couple of weeks ago, and I love the sight of a whole roast turkey. But in terms of cooking, I mean, I'm very flexible. You know, sometimes I brine, sometimes I roast, sometimes I smoke, sometimes I stuff butter or truffle and truffles or herbs under the skin. Sometimes I spit roast. You know, I think the turkey, the flavor results are different, the textures are different, but all are wondrous.
I think turkey, and maybe justly so, gets a rap for not having a tremendous amount of flavor. And
what?
I'm just
what?
Yes, I think there's a perception that turkey, when you bite into it, doesn't smack you in the face with a huge amount of flavor.
Let's think about the poultry. Let's think about the poultry pecking order. Okay, game hen, chicken. I mean, they taste like chicken.
Right.
Turkey has a lot more flavor. Maybe, duck has maybe more flavor. It's a different flavor.
Yeah,
no, it's not better or worse. It's just different. Duck, squab has a lot of flavor. No, I think turkey has a very distinctive flavor.
Do you think people feel the need to jump on it with a whole bunch of extra seasonings, injections, adding all sorts of kooky things to brines and this stuff to enhance flavor? Are people potentially overdoing it?
Well, I think it depends on your turkey. You know, if you're using a frozen, inexpensive supermarket turkey, well, first of all, if you're using one of those, it's probably already been injected with a saline solution to give it more flavor. But, you know, I would say the better, you know, if you're really getting a farm bird or an heirloom bird, you want to support its flavor and not camouflage its flavor.
Let's talk about brining, because that's always a huge question that I get. I'd rather direct them to an expert. Talk to me about the just the high level of brining and then amount of time to brine.
Well, I like brining because it makes your meat more moist and more tender, and that's one of those. You know, if you just go with a pretty simple salt sugar brine, you wind up supporting the flavor of the turkey without overpowering it. So I'm a big proponent of brining. But last year, you know, what we did last year is loosen the skin from the body. We put fresh herbs and sliced truffles under the skin with butter. And we indirect grilled it, and it was absolutely fabulous.
Is there a defined brining time? Like, do you want to do it for at least X amount of hours, but not more than X amount of hours?
Yeah, on that 12-pound bird that we do about a 24-hour brine on it. I find that's enough, and it's not too much.
Can you get to a point where where the meat becomes mushy? I hear that a lot. Like, people will steer away from brining because it can get a little mushy.
Yeah, and if you over brine it or it's too salty, that can make the meat. It can denature the meat. You know, which is controlled denature is good, but too much denaturing just makes it taste like turkey roll, not actual turkey. Hey, you know what? I know our time is short, and I wanted to actually talk about something else that we do at our holiday. And now that we're rolling into the holiday season, and I don't know about where you are, but they're already playing Christmas music in the stores down here. And it isn't even Thanksgiving yet.
Yep.
But cocktails has been on my mind lately. It's the blog we're running this week on barbecuebible.com, and in particular, smoked cocktails.
All right.
And you know, I this time of year I pull out my smoking gun, which is a tool it's a handheld smoker, and we love to use it for making smoked Manhattans. Dragon's Breath is another smoked cocktail where you actually smoke the brandy sifter.
What is that?
Smoked eggnog. Brandy sifter?
Dragon's Breath. How do you make that?
It's a cocktail. It's made with simple syrup and mezcal and lime juice. The recipe is in my book, Project Smoke, and actually in this blog that we did today. But smoking smoke has kind of been called the umami of barbecue. And when you smoke a cocktail, you take something that's sort of familiar and you drink it sometimes without thinking about it, and that all of a sudden it makes you think about how delicious, like the combination of vermouth and rye whiskey or bourbon and a maraschino cherry, how delicious and brilliant that combination is in a Manhattan. Or if you smoke a margarita, I mean, all of a sudden you sort of rediscover the dish. It's in a new way. And that's what I love about smoking. In fact, I mean, that's what I love about smoking with everything, whether you're smoking mayonnaise, or you could smoke the heavy cream that goes into your turkey gravy.
What about smoked ice? You smoke ice?
I have smoked ice.
Yeah.
I both smoked the ice cubes, and then I discovered after trying to keep them cold like crazy, you could just smoke the water and then freeze it, and that gives you the same effect.
And then you just use like an ice pick to jagger it up to put in your cup?
Yeah, either that, or if you smoke the water, you can just put it in ice cube trays, and then when it comes out of the ice cube trays, it's smoked. But another cool thing you can do, is you smoke the glass. So you take, let's say you're using a brandy snifter, or you could use, a tall boy or any kind of highball or any kind of glass. You turn it upside down. You fill it with smoke using your smoking gun, as you set it down on a coaster. Let the smoke kind of coat the inside of the glass, and then when you make your cocktail in it, man, you're getting an amazing smoke flavor.
But it's not overpowering. Like to me, when you're talking smoking gun, I'm thinking of white, like pungent smoke.
Yeah, if you do it right, it's not at all. Well, first of all, remember, you can control it. You usually need to smoke anything with a smoking gun, at least 2 4-minute smoke sessions, sometimes 3. So you can control how much smoke you put in it. It's a lot less smoke, and it's a lot cleaner smoke, actually, than a poorly lit smoker.
All right. And the flavor is there to enhance, aside from the Manhattans, and you said smoked margarita and the Dragon's Breath. Is there any other good cocktails that you're going to be enjoying over Thanksgiving?
Well, this time of year, eggnog, and you smoke the eggnog.
Eggnog is so gross, Stephen. I mean, there's no way you like egg. I can't believe that.
Wait,
it's gross.
We're talking about homemade eggnog, where you take 12 egg yolks and you're beating them to a pale ribbon with a mixer for about 15 minutes, and then you're beating in brandy and rum and bourbon, and then you're folding in whipped cream and beaten egg whites, and freshly grated nutmeg on top, and you're telling me that's gross?
After final review,
Greg,
after final review,
yes, no, Greg,
that's gross.
Greg,
yes.
I'm seriously, damn if I'm not going to get on a plane and come to Cleveland, and first we're going to eat caviar, and I'm going to make sure you learn how to appreciate that.
Yes.
And then you're going to try my eggnog.
Well,
I promise you, you won't give me that ugly buzzer anymore. You'll be begging for my eggnog.
It sounds like that might be my Christmas present in the making, without a doubt. We're talking with Stephen Raichlen, and we have covered Thanksgiving for you. You are welcome. You can find Stephen over at his website, barbecuebible.com, and you find him right here on the third Tuesday of every month. Stephen, always appreciate the time. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and we will talk to you again next month.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, and it's always a pleasure. Take care.
You got it. There he is, Stephen Raichlen. Having a little fun this evening here is Stephen Raichlen. We typically aren't so adversarial on viewpoints, but hey, I mean, that's what makes this whole live fire thing go round, right? We all have our separate opinions, and at the end of the day, we get along. Nobody's fighting each other. I'm going to email him after the show is over and tell him one of the best appearances ever. I love adversarial. It's my favorite. That's my favorite. By the way, if you're not on the YouTube chat, Seton Hill goes down in 4 sets, unfortunately. A shame. So they're out of the PSAC conference tournament, and now we'll wait and see if they still qualify for the Division II NCAAs. Looking pretty good, though. And we're back with Sterling Ball right after this.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content. in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rampey.
This portion of the show being brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. Visit cookinpellets.com for more info or to purchase. You can also visit amazon.com to purchase if you want. I don't know why you would do that, but you can go to amazon.com if you want to. That's cookinpellets.com, COOKIN, cookinpellets.com. My next guest on the show needs only 3 words of introduction. Big Poppa Smokers. That's Sterling Ball, by the way. Hey.
Hello, Greg.
How are you, Sterling?
I'm pretty good. I mean, a triple header isn't hard. I mean, the teams were beat.
We're just going right into it, right? No small talk. Let's just make like a baby and head out.
How you doing today, Greg?
Great.
Selling any trucks?
Great. No, not today.
Selling trucks?
No, not today. It's been a bad Wednesday.
You know,
bad Tuesday.
Fred might have some extra money.
Yeah, no doubt. Fred might have all the money after this past week. There's a lot of winning going on from Fred Robles down at Rio Valley. So, look, we're gonna
handsome and wealthy.
Yeah. We could do you and I could do a whole segment on Fred and why he's very great and everything that he's won and all that stuff. But let's talk about us.
Yeah, no. Well, let me just remind you, you did ask me how I was doing, and I started to tell you, and you cut me off.
Yeah, but you just jumped right into it. I wanted to lead you down the Primrose path.
Okay, well, let me make it easy for you.
Go
how
ahead.
am I doing? I'm tired.
Oh, I bet you are. Long 3 days, 4 days, 5. I mean, how early do you show up for that?
Wednesday.
Ooh. All right. Didn't you get back on a Monday? Yesterday, probably?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I did.
Look, let's get right to this whole scoring / box issue that happened on Sunday because, holding that aside, this was a premier event that really showcased all of the existing barbecue sanctioning bodies, number one, and then giving them the opportunity to go up against each other, number two. And I don't think that it would be fair where this particular item mars what is otherwise a great and potentially signature event going forward. So let's talk about what happened, where the error was, and then immediately how it was rectified and how it ends up shaking out at the end.
Well, it was very simple. I can give you a whole bunch of, setup, but I don't really want to. There was a sheet they used to sign in the boxes of chicken with the team numbers on it. A team noticed that it didn't match their box number. Very diligent person. The last day we didn't renumber the boxes. And so the person accepting the boxes said, thank you very much, and got all the box. There were 2 box numbers that were correct. Darren and Tim.
Yep.
So he fixed it, and all the boxes were judged properly. And by the way, there's a lot of innuendo, of course, what happened the other days and suggesting that there was foul play or the poison has been kind of funny, but the boxes were judged correctly. The problem is data entry was moved to where it was quiet about a quarter of a mile away because we were at a racetrack, and they said, there's no race that day. But actually, there was everybody who owned a performance car in New Orleans. And so we did that. And the problem was the correction didn't make it to the data entry. It was that simple. Okay. And at the end of awards, somebody mentioned that, the problem in the beginning, and our rep said, let me check. And right away they realized the error.
Yep.
And I want to tell you that I would never allow something like this to happen. Okay. And I would never brush it under the carpet, but I didn't even get that chance because our reps are so ethical. They announced right away, please don't go anywhere. We have a problem. The results are under review. At that point, Tuffy could have been a celebrity and gone off.
Head for the hills, right?
Right. He's a celebrity. No, Tuffy is a very good man, and Tuffy and I met with Chris at Heavy Smoke, and we got Darren to help out, and we figured out what happened. We were very transparent. We unfortunately restated the awards, but you know what? There's a lot of moving parts to a contest like this. A lot of using a first-time scoring system. I want to emphasize that the scoring system wasn't the problem. It was simply a numbering issue, of which I've sent you that. You've seen it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
You've seen the right and the wrong. So what happened right away as part of it is, we just Facebook Live, and the beauty of technology, the hate started right away.
Oh, of course.
But before we could say anything, Laura at Smithfield came up and said, listen, we don't want to take any checks away that we've given.
Good.
So we're going to honor the checks like Heavy Smoke got for $6,000. They can keep the check. Okay. And what we'll do is we'll make up the difference to anybody else who is short. And I thought that was awesome. And especially some of the people in the St. Louis threads were blaming Smithfield for this. All Smithfield did was believe in a vision, help us develop it, pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then when there was a problem, reach back in their pocket without me asking.
Right.
And I also want to let you know something you don't know.
All right.
I got an email today from Smithfield saying they've been thinking about it, and they didn't think that it was quite fair that some teams got more money. So the 4 teams that didn't get more money, we just sent them through Smithfield another $1,500 each.
You're kidding.
No.
Wow, I mean, they really boned out.
Well, they always do.
Wow,
And I'm not just saying that. That's one of the reasons why we work with them. They're a phenomenal company that has a heart. Look, they could have fired me on the spot, okay? But we made it through 3 days. It was so cool. We're ready to high five each other, and then it's like if you're a cook and you see the rep coming to you with the box in his hand. It's that feeling you can't quite describe, but it's not a good feeling.
Right.
It was embarrassing, and but I'm going to tell you something. It wasn't out of any negligence. It wasn't out of any sloppiness. It was just a mistake, pure and simple. And which leads me to one thing: we fixed the mistake, and we still feel terrible about it.
Of course.
But man, if barbecue doesn't start giving some due diligence or getting nicer on social media, I mean, Sonny's is gone, King of Smokers gone, Sam's is gone, and thank God Smithfield didn't leave. So, again, it was a mistake on my team, which makes it my mistake, okay? And of which I apologize to the teams. I apologize to some of the fans out there that got the wrong information. It was never our intention. What was really interesting is to look at this scoring system, though, because we didn't think it was fair. First of all, Greg, you mind if I go back to the beginning?
No, I was going to ask you to set it up anyway, so go ahead.
Okay. I got this crazy idea 2 years ago that sure, the Jack and the Royal, the different sanctioning bodies get together, but wondered if we had a points chase for a year and brought 24 of them together for a triple header. Now, I stole the triple header idea from Darren Worth. When I first met Darren, he says, you want to know what a real championship is? Double elimination. Last man standing the last day. So that's totally Darren's idea, and I've always been fascinated by the concept of it because every other major is pretty much one contest.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
As the Jack proved this year, again, the tables have a lot to do with it.
Sure.
Now, you can't completely take the tables out. So I mentioned it to Emily Detweiler, the new CEO of KCBS. She said, I think that's a great idea. Deidre signed off on it. Scott Saunders, the then president, it had to go to the president because it was a big number, and Bob Darrell, the number 2 guy there, they signed off on it and encouraged us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then we built a team, and the first person I called was Mark Kinney. Mark Kinney of Barbecue Data was unbelievable. Initially, before we knew who could qualify, I had a choice. I could try and qualify and cook for it,
mm-hmm.
or I could promote it and run it and sponsor it. And I ended up qualifying, but I withdrew because I felt like it was only right that I keep creating these contests and I can never cook them, but I did qualify for it. Anyway, we built a team, and the original team had Tuffy on it. Luke Darnell was involved. Darren was involved. When it looked like Darren was gonna qualify, he was we 86'd him, which is hard to do because I think Darren is one of the greatest guys in barbecue.
Yeah,
and he's got a great barbecue mind, and I hate saying nice things about him on the radio, but I mean he was very helpful. But then from there, the team became Edge Marketing, Evenergy, which is an event company, Big Poppa Smokers. We were on the ground. Hunter, and let me see, there's one other agency, but we were very well supported also by Dion from Edge, and Laura Paul came into this late, and she was absolutely unbelievable. But we were able to get Yeti, Kingsford, Big Poppa Smokers, the Butcher Shop at Pensacola, A9, Whistle Pig. Whiskey was unbelievable, and Abita, the local beer. We had T. Wayne, who had passed away, but he's a legendary former competition barbecue cook, but also a very, very good caterer down there. And he died in the middle of it, but the people that took it over, Bobby, did just an unbelievable. The food was unbelievable.
And this is, for the folks that don't know, so you over the course of the year, you accumulate points regardless of sanctioning bodies. And then the top 24 head to New Orleans for a 3-day event. You cook on a Friday, you cook on a Saturday, eliminating 6 at a clip, and then you have your final 6 set up on Sunday. And technically you have the best.
12 went home the first day.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, 12 went home the first day. That's right.
Okay, one of the things we had to do is create a whole different judging program, and a scoring program, which was very interesting. And I learned a couple of things. Also, there was a meat-provided contest with Butcher Shop of Pensacola providing the chicken and the brisket, and Smithfield doing the ribs and the butts. Yeah. And by the way, Fred is a Smithfield cook, but cooks the normal black label, non-enhanced. And when he got there, he goes, I've never cooked extra tenders before. He goes, thanks a lot, buddy. And I said, that's what I cook, and it's what I cook. And he won ribs all 3 days. So I think he has a new license plate that says extra tender.
Yeah, biggest fan.
So a couple of reasons why we had to create a new scoring system. And the scoring system is that, number one, you can't say it's kind of like a chance for the different sanctioning bodies to compete and then use IBCA or KCBS's scoring, because it would certainly give a benefit to that.
Yeah.
The other thing is it's such a tight field, I really felt like that it might end up, if we use KCBS, it might look like the American Royal Dessert where there's 9 180. So it gave us an opportunity to do what we all talk about by the solo stoves, or we're sitting in our chairs, is, if you could do a new scoring system, what would you do? And it's very interesting to me because I wanted to start by changing what the categories we were judging by were. And so instead of appearance, and there was no garnish, we had a presentation score. Because at this level, you should be judged how you present the food, like a chef does or anybody else. I mean, how many times do you see a really ugly box that won the category that day? And that's because the weighting on the appearance is so much less than the others. So everything was weighted evenly. The next thing wasn't tenderness like KCBS, it was texture. We felt it was better identify texture and describe texture and judge texture than tenderness. The last one, instead of taste, was flavor. But we added a 4th category. And what we did is, just like I would imagine that you just judged the American Royal Dessert or Jack Daniels, and there were A180s, but there was certainly one that you liked the best.
Yeah.
So what we added is that, let's say, I think the best way of explaining this is, let's say you go to a contest and you get a 999 from a judge, and the next guy gets a 999 from him, and the next guy gets a 959, because we're talking KCBS judging, just joking. But not all 999s are the same. They're not necessarily going to they're going to have a favorite out of those 999s. So what are we doing there?
Sorry.
So what we did is we added a chance for them to really comparative judge and actually rate from 1 to 6 their favorite, the one they wait in the line for, the one they wanted to eat. Okay, and you got 4 bonus points for first, you got 3 for second, I think, and 2 for third, and nothing for fourth, fifth, or sixth.
Mm-hmm.
So how this worked was on, let me just move this around here. On the first day where it got shrunk down to 12 teams, the bonus points did not affect who the final 12 were, but it did affect the order in which they finished. But it was the same amount regardless of the bonus, and there was some concern that the bonus points were too much.
Mm-hmm.
The bonus points for Fred Robles, which he was tied with JD, was 6%. So if you figure that the others were valued at 30, 31, 31, 31 or whatever, the bonus, although it played an important role, it was only 6% on average of what it affected.
Yep.
But it didn't change who went home the first day. It did the second day, okay? And the other problem you have in a lot of the contests are a lot of ties. Every tie we had, the first tiebreaker was the bonus points. And we only went, in all the ties we only had to go to the second one, which was flavor,
mm-hmm.
one instance. So what the bonus points, adding a fourth category, and actually we proved that just as you got a 12-11, because it's a 2 through 12 contest, it didn't end up being a 3-number contest like most KCBS 7, 8, 9. It was pretty much 8, 7 to 12,
mm-hmm.
really 8 to 12, so 4 to 5. Are you staying with me here, Greg?
Yep.
I'm just trying to get, there's a lot of things to talk about, and I know I got a short period of time. But the bonus points did determine it. What it also did is it balanced the tables, okay? It helped balance the tables and bring the things. There was a 5% swing in scoring between first and 12th place on the first day. There was a 4.6% swing between 1 and 6 on the second day. And there's a 2.3% on the last, because
Oh, wow.
the last 6 were one table.
Yeah.
There was 1% between the GC and the RGC. Okay. There was no mysterious coin flip. The same different in tables, but not too extreme. Day one's tables had one table about 5. Now it's funny, people looked at this and said, well, we had a table of death, but there were only 4 tables the first day, everybody hit it. Well, that's because that table they were calling the table of the death was 2.7% lower than the day's average. But the real truth is we had an angel table that was 5.5% higher. So it was, the average was 34.88 versus 32.12 between the tables. But what we did was we analyzed the data after every day. First of all, also to understand, people that know me, I don't believe that organizers or promoters or anybody should be in the judging tent but the reps, table captains, and judges. It's not a place where you distract, snoop, hang around. So I do a judging meeting and I leave. Now, I did return to the judging tent every day after the awards and after the judge went home, and we went over every score. And there was one judge who was a little bit off,
mm-hmm.
but we talked to him, and he was fine the next couple of days. So we learned a lot, and I wish we didn't have the blemish, but so much good stuff happened. But let's talk about the winners. You got Fred Robles at Rio Valley Meet, and Fred, he won the American Royal last year.
Yeah.
He's just all these guys are such good cooks, and so it was Rio Valley Meet followed by Buckshot. Now, Fred won by 8 points. Buckshot finished a point ahead of Darren. Darren finished a point ahead of Adam Guthrow and Cajun Blaze. Shake and Bake was 2 behind that, and Heavy Smoke was 17 from first, which is nothing.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was tight. The categories were tight, and I think a triple header proved that It's a very good way to settle a national championship. I think some teams were still going strong. Some teams were absolutely dragging by the last day.
And I think on day number 3 with those final 6, I mean, to have it that tight, I mean, that's exactly what you want. You have the best of the best going up against each other. You wouldn't expect there to be a 20-point difference between, 1 and 6.
No, but you'd also, I mean, man, I'll tell you what, I don't think I'd want to be on that final table. I mean, it was one table of 6 judging the last 6. And I was very impressed with the judges. I loved our reps, Kelly and Kathleen and Stephen Mary Ellis. I got a shout out to Jessie, the Big Poppa Smokers.
Mm-hmm.
She always takes care of everything. James the Flame Perez was working the room. Ishmael and Christina from Big Poppa Smokers. I mean, there was a high percentage of staff. And again, like people say, how can you make a mistake? We did. But we fixed it. And you know something? I would have never known. If the refs had said there's no problem, I would have believed it because I could believe
Sure.
Chris won the first set.
Of course.
And Cajun Blaze. But guess what? That's not how the people on this team are. We don't want the wrong person. We don't want to hide behind a mistake.
And by the way, like the other teams probably don't want to garner awards that they technically didn't win. I mean, this is a proud bunch here.
Oh, well, first of all, let me tell you something. It was such a great group of guys. And I didn't know Chris, and he cooks with his dad, which I think is just awesome. And he is an awesome cook and a great, positive. And I'm not just saying it because we embarrassed him. I enjoyed Chris a lot, and I think he'll tell you we spent a lot of time. I got to know a lot of people that I didn't know from just the normal KCBS circuit. But, one of the things, and I don't want to be too negative, but one of the things some of the guys commenting on was that we were disrespecting sanctioning bodies. I said, well, wait a minute.
Everybody's allowed in.
Well, and we could have easily left BCA out,
Sure,
St. Louis, or
right.
But I think what we were doing was trying to point out the barbecue's bigger than one sanctioning body, and we're also trying to prove that just because we have kind of household names in our thing, that in these other areas, their cooks are unbelievable.
Yes,
and by the way,
of course,
in the final 6, Greg, every sanctioning body was represented.
Yeah, right.
So I think it was a good thing.
Right.
And let me tell you something else. It's another opportunity to cook for. I think the prize purse, once Smithfield paid the price for the mistake, I think it was a $67,000 prize.
Wow,
And I believe we treated the teams really well. I believe that they didn't want for anything, and the sponsors, like I said,
yeah.
Kingsford, Yeti, Beta, Whistle Pig, Big Poppa, Butcher Shop, the staff from all were so committed and worked so hard. I mean, I don't think anybody, there were tears shed over this thing.
And by the way, I talked to 5 of the 6. I didn't talk to Heavy Smoke after the whole thing had transpired. And it was nothing but love, nothing but appreciation. Everybody just happy to be there. Everybody happy to make it past one day to the next day. So I think if what we can all glean from this is, A, you guys stood up, owned the mistake, quickly remedied it, made the right adjustments. Smithfield steps up huge and says whoever got a check isn't going to give it back, and we're going to pay extra money out to people that probably we don't have to, but we're going to do the right thing and make sure everybody is paid. Then you mentioned they're sending additional $1,500 to folks that didn't actually win that. They're just trying to make everybody whole here. And it was a great event to put up all sanctioning bodies who ultimately on the last day, all sanctioning bodies represented are going after each other. It's exactly the way you want it to go.
Yeah, and I'll say I learned that I don't want to present a scoring system to anybody because this one worked beautifully, but every team that went home at the end probably had an issue with it. It's really hard telling somebody that the reason why you went home was that your food was good, but the judges liked somebody else's food better.
Yeah, nobody wants
I'm
to
gonna
hear
tell
that.
you let me tell you who loved it. The judges.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course.
Because they say they compare to judge anyway after it's done.
Two quick questions, Sterling, before I let you go, as we're quickly racing out of time. Does Smithfield give you any idea if this will continue into 2020, this event specifically?
Yes.
Yes, they are going to do it?
No, they gave me an idea.
All right. Is that positive or negative?
Well, I think it's positive. I think that, we got hit with really bad weather. It was very cold. I think we're going to looking at moving to the spring 2021 and start the points chase at an appropriate time in 2020. Listen, it's not fake. And all I'd like to say is everybody give everybody benefit of the doubt there in barbecue, especially if you had no skin in the game. We embarrassed Chris. We embarrassed Great Cajun Blaze. I mean, we're Steve Harvey on steroids. But they had skin in the game, and they understood it. Yeah. And they were so kind to us, okay? And they said, we don't want anything we didn't earn. But, ouch. And I said, absolutely. I just want to say again, let's try and be nicer because we're running sponsors off with people who don't have a skin in the game most of the time. Complaining. Look, I expect to take shots. Greg, you know this. I've taken shots since I stepped into barbecue.
Sure.
I've taken shots over this. I mean, they kind of forget that in 10 years I have brought a lot of money into barbecue, other people's money.
Well, will you continue to do events? Will you continue to promote and put on events?
If Smithfield wants me to, I'll do it. I really don't want to do it anymore, to be honest with you. I took so many shots over the years like guinea pig, king of the smoker. It's fine. Hey, look but this time we did something right where the team deserved some shots, which means I deserve some shots. Mm-hmm. We made a mistake, and it was a public mistake. We fixed it.
And otherwise, it was a brilliant event as testified by the Final Six and everybody else that showed up. And the influencer was out there promoting the event and having a great time. So aside from that issue, 99% of it was gangbusters. So we'll see if it re-shows up in...
Well, I have to say one thing. Besides Mark, Emily that was there, we had representatives from the different sanctioning bodies there, IBCA and director at large, the president of the BCA, Emily Detweiler for KCBS. Yep. This wasn't a threat to KCBS. This wasn't a threat to IBCA. This is trying to unify barbecue.
Right.
But before I leave, I have to say once again that Tuffy Stone is one of the finest men too.
Didn't hide.
Like I said before, Tuffy could have cratered. He could have turtled. Tuffy was, he insisted on doing the original speech. I said, Tuffy, no, I'm not going to let you. I'm doing it. So I just want to let you know that, we talk about barbecue family. We talk about friends who meet and family and barbecue family and Tuffy, Darren, Emily, all those people were just unreal. And Laura and Smithfield. I'm going to tell you something. If they didn't step up, I don't want them to hear this. There might have been a fat bald guy who did.
Oh.
Okay, but I'm glad they did.
Yeah, right. Always. Well, you've done it, Sterling. Once again, Sterling Ball. He is the pitmaster of Big Poppa Smokers. Are you going to be cooking this weekend, Sterling, or are you going to take a week off?
No, there's no comps until New Year's Eve.
Oh, great. All right, so you got some time to relax. Anything special for Thanksgiving going on?
Yeah, I'm cooking a new cast iron spatchcock turkey. I'm cooking them all week to show up for social media. It's my new unbelievable way of cooking turkey.
Stephen Raichlen says you should. Stephen Raichlen says you should not be spatchcocking turkey. I don't know if you heard that.
Great.
Yep.
And he thinks beer makes a difference inside of chicken, so we're even.
All right, get all of your barbecue supplies, please, at BigPoppaSmokers.com, and be on the lookout for the next appearance of the BBQ Central Show guest Hall of Famer, Sterling Ball. Sterling, thank you so much.
Thank you, Greg.
You got it. There he is, Sterling Ball. I don't know if that's what they call owning it, but Sterling owning it, perhaps even, too much. It, as he says, is it a black eye? Sure, I said black eye. Yes, I guess. But there was probably an opportunity for somebody before it got to somebody else to kick it under the rug. Nobody would have really questioned anybody winning because the teams are so good. But the issue was brought up. Ownership was taken immediately. They correct the situation. Sucks, right? Sucks to go from first sucks from going to winning the last day to going to finishing last the last day. That sucks. Reserve, slide back to fifth or fourth or whatever it was. I think it was fifth. That blows. There's no doubt about it. There's no two ways about it. But to a man, they said, if we didn't earn that spot, we really don't want that. Certainly it sucks. But we don't want to do that otherwise. Smithfield steps up. Nobody loses money. In fact, people left with more money technically than they should have because of where they finished. I've always said money seems to make everything a little bit better, right? Get that overall yanked from you, but you get to keep the $6,700 check for finishing last on the last day. So that makes everything a little bit better. So everybody did the right thing. Ownership is taken. Accountability is taken. The buck stops with Sterling and his team as he willingly took shots for. Smithfield steps up. It's great. There you go. That's your recap of Smithfield. We are way long here, so I got to figure out how I am going to run back on. We'll have an abridged second hour. So refresh your libations. That was Sterling Ball, BigPapaSmokers.com. And we'll be back right after this. Stick around.
This is Steve Ray with Owl's Nest Barbecue, and you're listening to the BBQ Central Show with Greg Rempe. Can you believe it?
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the Charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate Tootsie or Wiener.
Oh, listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. You are listening and watching the BBQ Central show. You just heard Sterling Ball recap the Smithfield National BBQ Championship that took place in New Orleans, Louisiana this past weekend. Willingly answered all the questions about it's not a judging issue, but the turn-in box misnumbering situation. And in the end, what I found fascinating was that all of the sanctioning bodies were represented on that last table. Somebody from St. Louis, somebody from BCA, somebody from KCBS, somebody from IBCA, somebody from CBC. All of the sanctioning bodies well represented. That's great. Now you get to see who's who. Plus, it was a meat-sponsored contest, much like a guinea pig is. I think King of the Smoker is similar, where all meat provided. Fun stuff. That would have been fun to be there. And by the way, I highly question what the weather was bad like in New Orleans. It was like a 20 degrees in Cleveland on Saturday. Okay. And snowing, I might add. So let's take this whole it was terrible weather thing into account and make sure that we're all on the same level here. You want bad weather, then you have a barbecue contest at Burke Lakefront Airport right outside of downtown Cleveland in November, middle of November. That's what you want. You want bad weather. Guarantee it. 20 degrees, might add. I mean, forget about that. All right, still to come on this show, Kevin Coleman from Weber Grills. We're going to be talking about the smoke fire. So stay tuned for that. You can follow me socially at BBQ Central Show on Instagram and Twitter, /BBQ Central Show on Facebook. This portion of the show is being brought to you by Fireboard. You can monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. You can connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring or connect via Bluetooth. And if you have the Alexa or Google Assistant in your home, you're in luck because fully integrated with both is Fireboard. You can find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. Let me tell you, a great gift idea for somebody that's looking for some kind of a remote thermometer, but B, that can connect to your local area network and does graphing and has an app and everything that you can see on your phone. All, so fun. And really good. 6 ports. Come on, fireboard.com. Get it. Coming up this Friday on the best moments of the BBQ Central show in 10 minutes or less, episode 99, taking you back to November 17th, 2015. And of course, it is going to be additionally heavily laden with Thanksgiving best of stuff. The guy that just showed up in the first segment of the first hour, Stephen Raichlen, is on the best of show in the first part. After Stephen, my mom, Connie Rempe, stopped by the show back in 2015. We also talked a bunch of Thanksgiving stuff as well. I don't recall specifically if we were talking about like leading into it or if we had talked about a like past. But there was one specific Thanksgiving where there were leftover, where there was leftover stuffing and leftover mashed potatoes, and we made deep fried stuffing balls and deep fried mashed potato balls as well, like the next day. Those were delicious. So you have to make sure that you're subscribed to the podcast in order to get the best of show. If you're not subscribed to the podcast and you're not visiting the website every day, then you have missed what will be the first 99 episodes, and John already has many more in the bag. So we will be continuing until further notice into 2020, easily, I might add. But again, in order to get the best of show, you have to be subscribed to the BBQ Central Show podcast. Now, I had teased this last week. This is from vegnews.com. Florida barbecue chain has debuted vegan Beyond Meat burnt ends. That happened on November 4th. Barbecue chain Four Rivers Smokehouse introduced vegan Beyond burnt ends at all 6 of these Central Florida locations. The menu now features Beyond Meat's vegan beef that is double smoked and slow roasted in the same way that the restaurant prepares its animal-based barbecue meat. Important to create something that looked, smelled, and tasted like meat-based cousin, Four Rivers founder CEO John Rivers told the Orlando Sentinel. We tested jackfruit pulled pork, black bean burgers, vegan sausages. However, none were necessarily unique. In the end, we chose burnt ends due to its popularity on the menu and because it's something we've not seen offered as a plant-based option. So, if you are just dying to get your hands on some Beyond Meat vegan burnt ends, you need to go to Four Rivers in Florida. 4 different locations, or 5 or 6, or whatever it was. You know who's not serving that? Dr. Barbecue, not serving vegan burnt ends, at least not yet. We've got to get right back on this video. There's a whole other video that I still am trying to get to that'll be now 3 weeks from now. It's just great. It has nothing to do with barbecue. Nothing to do with barbecue. Kevin Coleman coming up out of the break. Can we please talk about the Barbecue Guru? I hope so. Because the Barbecue Guru is believing that outdoor cooking should be easy and fun because it can be. They have automatic pit temperature control devices for your pleasure. Kettle cookers, bullet-style cookers, offset smokers, everything in between. A whole bunch of different tech to choose from as well. The Monolith is a ceramic cooker that the Barbecue Guru sells. That has a built-in power draft fan already. Comes with it. So, if you have a Barbecue Guru controller, all you have to do is hook it up to this fan and away you go. Easily choose your cooking time, temp, let the Monolith do the work of a sous chef or a barbecue pitmaster. With minimal effort, you now have oven-like precision at the grill. You can serve the tastiest, juiciest meals each and every time. BBQGuru.com or call 800-288-GURU. Barbecue Guru continues to be a breakthrough in barbecue technology. Kevin Coleman out of the break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
The only show giving you a monthly visit from a doctor of barbecue. A man actually named Meathead. The author of a barbecue Bible. Bloggers, reviewers, competitors, and manufacturers by the dozens. It's the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And this portion brought to you by Smithfield. Of course, the National BBQ Championship is wrapped up. Fred Robles is your overall national champion. SmokingWithSmithfield.com is the website. They're also doing the grant program. I believe that's still open for entry, so go to SmokingWithSmithfield.com for more information or to enter, to fill out the application. Hey, one of my favorite grill brands ever, be it liquid propane, charcoal, or otherwise, is Weber. The Barbecue Central show has always been a big Weber grill house, and I'm always happy to have the Director of Brand Education, Weber's Grill Master, Kevin Coleman, to join the show. And we are going to be talking about the new Weber pellet cooker, Smoke Fire. So we will race to the hotline and welcome back Kevin Coleman to the show. Hey, Kevin.
Greg, how we doing?
Hit your camera, man. We got to see that pretty face.
Let me see this camera.
Let's see.
We go.
Oh, man. Every time I see you, it's like more. You're like barbecue sexy, right?
I'm telling you, the status of the show just increased by getting my face put on here in this video right now.
No doubt. People are jumping on like crazy. So
we'll jump off either way.
Yeah, whatever. We're talking with Kevin Coleman, Weber.com, the website, of course. And big news here. So as I was mentioning in the first hour, Kevin, that if you were taking a break from social media yesterday and today, you probably missed it. It was the worst 48 hours to take off of social media in your life. And that, of course, is because Weber has decided to make the foray into the pellet market. And so we see the official launch of what is called Smoke Fire, the new pellet cooker that is being offered by Weber. And I remember asking you about a pellet cooker from Weber the last time you were on the show. And you didn't shoot it down, but you also didn't make it sound like it might be something that was going to be happening over the next 12 to 14 months. So let's back out of it just from a high level here and talk about development time and how long this has been in the hopper, that's a bad pun. But how long it's been in the planning stages of Weber's mind and then finally realizing the release here yesterday.
Well, I mean, it's actually, the ironic part is when we talked about it last time, I actually had one of the prototypes in my backyard. So it's probably why I was being a little elusive about it, because I didn't want to necessarily hint that I had it back there, but it's something we've been looking at for a long time. And I think just like all the major product launches we've had over the time at Weber, we consistently look at the marketplace, trying to make a better cooker for people in their backyards. And the amount of time and energy that we put into this grill has been probably secondary to what we've done to other things. Mm-hmm. And we've definitely taken a lot of the, let's say, shortcomings of the pellet industry and revolutionize it with the things that we put in ours. So it's a fantastic cooker. I'm sure you've seen AmazingRibs.com has written a pretty good review on it, and we're pretty happy with it.
Obviously, I'm not breaking any news to you here, Kevin. Pellet cookers at this point, not a new thing. So I don't know if you're able to back out of this or not talk like the company guy here, but I mean, in your estimation, is Weber a little late to the party here on this?
I wouldn't say we're late to the party. I think it's one of those things that over time we've looked at the industry, and it's not just pellet cookers. It was the Summit Charcoal with the whole Kamado style and ceramic cookers. And it's something that we're always looking at, not just with pellets, but technologies and all the things that go on. And we looked at it as trying to figure out how do we create the best possible cooking experience for our consumers in the backyard. And that just doesn't go with taking 1985 with our Genesis, making flavorizer bars and making a true gas grill that didn't work off of flavorizer bars to working Summit charcoal into now this. So it's a process for us to come out with a product that's going to be perfect for our consumers. And that's something that we continue to do with this one.
Was there any angst or was there any, I don't even know what the hell I want to say, but I mean, when it starts to, matriculate up the ladder as you get further and further into the corporate of Weber, where people like, screw the pellet cookers. There's other ones out there. We're kettle guys. We're gas grill guys who make some cool fireplaces. We have a great smoker already with Weber Smoky Mountain. We just don't see pellet as a space we really want to bother with.
No, I think it's not just the pellet industry. I think it's the electric industry. It's the charcoal industry. It's the gas industry. It's future technologies that we're constantly looking at. And so for me, when people ask, like, what do you think about pellet? 2 years ago when we were at Camp Brisket down in College Station, we cook on WSMs. There's Bewley pits. There's Jambos. We've got $2.99 pits all the way up to, let's say, $30,000 Bewleys. Mm-hmm. And pits and spits that year on the blind on Saturday morning, which no one knows what anything was cooked on, they actually won the blind, which it's not necessarily a competition, but 80 of the people down in College Station preferred the flavor of the brisket that came off of a pellet grill versus any other thing that was there. And so for me, it was one of those, it's like, wow, you got some of the best brisket cooks in the world, some of the best pits in the world, and that's what people chose not knowing. And that was an aha moment for me. And from Weber's perspective, it was, we're seeing this category. Is it an opportunity that we can design something that's going to be unique, that's going to give people the performance, the smoke, the lack of jamming, making cleaning easier, all the things that are some of the shortcomings of the pellet industry, and how do we make that Weberized so people have the best experience in their backyard? And that's something that we just knocked out of the park with this one.
All right. So from start or concept to where we're at, how long does it take to get to market? I mean, technically it's not on the market yet, but I mean, where are we at right now?
Well, I mean, it's not on the market. You can pre-order it now on Amazon.com, Weber.com. It's coming out early January 2020. This has probably been a 2.5 year process from the conception. What are we talking about to finally getting prototypes, to testing those, refining those. And that's what I think people need to understand is, for me, I have 800 hours logged on this grill.
Wow.
And that's a heck of a lot of cooking, but that's what we do to try to create the best possible product for consumers. So it's not like, hey, let's just come out with a pellet grill and let's go. It's how do we address the shortcomings of, how do we make this easier for people to clean? How do we get this to 600 degrees and actually brown and sear something like you've not seen on a pellet grill? And for 9 months prior to me getting the first prototype, I had almost every pellet grill on the marketplace in my backyard, cooking on every single one. And we rotated those around a certain amount of people inside of Weber, so we would have a better idea of how people are doing things and how do we create a better product, right? And that's the most important thing, is it wasn't one brand. It was a bunch of working knowledge of how do we figure out how to make this better for people and give them the performance and the ease of clean and all the other things that make the pellet industry a pretty fun place to cook in.
So when you're doing that market research or when you're getting, I would imagine you're picking brains of folks. Maybe there's questionnaires sent out to your best customer, however you guys are achieving your statistical and market data. Do you take like the 10 most answered things or the 10 most common repeated things and decide that that's how you're going to attack with this new pellet cooker and you're going to fix those items? Or how do you put what is, as you were saying, what's lacking currently into Weberizing the issue?
Well, I think it's prioritizing the categories of things, right? And that's something that we did back again with the Genesis coming out with flavorizer bars versus having lava rock. It's understanding what are those 4 or 5 main pivot points or pain points, and figuring out how do we Weberize that to where we have grease management, which is something you find in all of our grills. How do we have temperature control? How do we have ease? How do we have evenness of cook? How do we have temperatures that can go 225 all the way up to 600 degrees in a fast and quick amount of time that doesn't take a long time? So those are some of the core competencies we have as a business. But has to be relatable to the consumer end. It has to have something that has performance. It has to have something that gives it that Weber flavor, that Weber ease of use that people have known for over 60 years in the marketplace. And it's just one of those things. This will revolutionize the pellet industry, and it's going to be a fantastic product for people to have in their backyards.
We're talking with Kevin Coleman. You can go to Weber.com and check out some pictures and read up on all the information there. For the folks that are listening on podcast, Kevin, can you paint us a mental picture of what SmokeFire looks like to the best of your ability and how the main componentry is set up?
I would, if visually it's a drum type of a pellet grill, has the same type of look and feel. The first time I saw it, I was with my daughter who was 6 at the time, and she was like, "Daddy, that is beautiful." And if you don't believe me, I actually have a video of her walking through it, and she's like, "Daddy, this is a pretty good grill." It's like a 30-second infomercial. And I'm like, "Maddie, you are so smart," but has the same type of look and feature of a Genesis, of a Summit, where it has the beautiful chrome down the sides, has the porcelain enameled finish, which helps us move air around the inside, has our traditional flavorizer bar system inside, which helps us create an atmosphere where it pushes the grease down into the bottom of the unit, which continues to give us authentically great grilled food. But the flavorizer bars create that evenness of heat across the cooking grates, which is something that no matter if you put a steak on one side or another, you're getting that beautiful sear mark. So it's packed with a heck of a lot of power and a heck of a lot of performance that people really haven't seen in a pellet grill.
So as we start to break this particular cooker down, you had mentioned, a small handful of things that are kind of different. One of the things that I saw that was a little out of the ordinary compared to some of the other cookers is the, would we call it an inverted auger system?
So you have a short vertical auger system that sits almost directly in the center of the unit, and the hopper is in the back, which the hopper is about 22 pounds of fuel, which is pretty nice. So you can fit over a 20-pound bag of pellets in the back. But because it's a short vertical down into the hot pot, you have an opportunity for the grill to heat up faster. So instead of us having a longer auger, it's a shorter auger, which allows us to get up to 600 degrees in about 10 to 15 minutes, which is something you haven't seen anywhere else. It also allows for us to have less problems with jamming. I've cooked over 800 hours on mine, and I've not had one jam, which is a pretty impressive thing. So I'm not saying that you won't have any jams, but I'm saying the chances of that happening are slim and none. The backflashes, you're not going to see because of the way that the grill is set up. And the other great thing about it is normally with pellets, you see a lot of ash moving around the inside. Because of the way that we've designed it, the ash goes down into a grease management system that you basically pull out. So the grease and the ash go down into a bottom disposable tray. All that stuff gets thrown out in the garbage, and away you're ready to go. So forget your shop vacs, forget all the other things. The way to clean this is absolutely easy, and most importantly, the performance is where it's at.
So really, you only have to pull this tray out that you're talking about to clean it? I don't have to take my crappy vacuum and pull all the guts out and go after it?
Well, I would say this. You might see a little bit of grease and ash that happens over time. There's a scraper that's included that you can drop into it, but that's about 2 minutes of cleaning, if that. But yeah, you're not going to have to use the shop vac. You're not going to have to use the cheap vacuum cleaner. All the ash, the majority of it gets pushed down into that grease management system that you've seen on our gas grills and partly on our charcoal grills. So that's definitely one of the game changers, because I'm not I like to cook. I don't necessarily like to clean. And I mean, it's just me. We're recommending every 20 to 30 hours that you clean out the grill, which I don't think you're really going to have to do that, but it's pretty awesome.
All right. So let me ask you, it's 22-pound pellet hopper. I think typically you find, 15 to 20 pounds in a lot of the other competing models. So if I set it for 225 to 250, I load it with 22 pounds of pellets. So you have, and I know it's like above sea level or what's the temperature outside and all that crap, but do you have a general idea if it's fully loaded down, running into that barbecue temperature? What time?
Fully loaded at if you're at 250 degrees, it's going to give you an hour per pound.
An hour per pound. All right. So I mean, definitely something you can load it up overnight, and then you got plenty to get you through the overnight hours, and away you go.
Yeah, I mean, the other great thing about it is it has the Weber Connect built into it. So we've figured out a technology that you're going to be able to use Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on it, depending on the size of your house. But more importantly, we've tested over 600 different cuts, sizes, and anything else that you could cook. So we can actually give you an ETA program logged into it. So we're going to be able to tell you that if you put something like a brisket on now, it'll track and tell you that it's going to be done in 10 hours, going to be done in 12 hours, very similar to a car app where it's telling you your destination. This is when you're going to hit it.
Sure.
And the other cool thing about that too is we figured out carryover temperatures. So now if you want a steak that's done at 115 or 120, we'll tell you to take that off at 105 or 106 because we found out that the carryover temperature with certain cuts and certain things is anywhere between 13 to 17 degrees.
So, I mean, are you going to have to put in more information on whatever it is you're cooking in order to achieve the perfect results of all that stuff, or no?
It's not actually adding more information. It's going to be, you pick your cut, you pick what you're cooking, grill setup, sets the grill up, tells you when to flip something, tells you when to take it off, tells you when to rest, and you're ready to go. So it basically, from anything you're going to prep, even down to the point where there's tips and tricks on how to slice things correctly, everything is included into the app that you run off of your phone. So it's a pretty robust cooking system that we developed also inside the smoke fire.
Now, one of the other things that you had mentioned, and just from looking at it online, since I wasn't able to make it out to Chicago, unfortunately, one of the big departures that I saw is the deletion of, what I call the cookie tray or the grease tray deflector shield. You go with the flavorizer bars. Why is it a good thing to do that?
I mean, depending on your grill, for us, the best way to do it, it's something that we started back in 1985, but we want to channel grease away from the actual grill because you're not going to get authentically flavored food by having a plate inside there because the drippings of your salmon that won't burn off because the grill doesn't get hot enough, at least with a lot of the research that we've done, is going to sit inside of your grill. So you're not going to get that authentically flavored food. What we want to do is have that grease hit down on the flavorizer bar, send that beautiful smoke flavor back up, but channel the grease out of the grill. So every time you cook, you're getting authentically grilled flavor. Most importantly, the flavorizer bars help create even heat across the grates. And that's, for us, another one of those great points where the grease isn't going outside the grill. It isn't getting filled up with rain and draining on your concrete. It's sitting down low in a disposable tray, which is easy to throw out. But most importantly, you're getting the authentic flavored grilled food.
All right. Now, are the flavorizer bars just the standard ones that you would find on the grill? Or are they made out of any special material or thicker?
No, they're the straight stainless steel that you would find in some of our Genesis grills. The larger flavorizer bar is made out of porcelain enameled. Mm-hmm. And the reason why we found that is grease has a better path and a faster path down in the grease tray than if we went with stainless. So the middle one, the larger one's going to be porcelain enameled, and everyone else is going to be stainless.
All right. This cooker, as you had mentioned, claiming to reach 600 degrees. Why is that number specifically important, and was there any attempt at getting a higher number?
I don't think it was. Well, first of all, just because you give people more heat doesn't necessarily translate to better grilled product for them. You can give them heat as high as the heavens, but the margin of error gets extremely slow. What we have found was 550 degrees is perfect for us to sear. We went up to 600 degrees because we found no matter what cut you're going to be grilling, it will sear, it will caramelize on there. So for us, the 600 degrees was a great threshold. More importantly, we probably could have got away with less heat because of the way the flavorizer bar system and because of all the drippings going down help increase the heat. But 600 degrees is our threshold, and it's something that when it comes to browning the whole surface of a steak, you won't find anything else out there that will do that.
All right, so let me ask you, when you see some of the videos that are out in circulation right now, one of the more eyeball-catching moments for me is when you were throwing on those strip steaks the other night. You're flipping it, there's fire, and there's great grill marks. It looks and feels at the moment like a grill. And I have long been a proponent of having multiple cookers in the backyard if you're able to. And for the manufacturer to, instead of making an all-in-one, make a few things that are dedicated to doing those things really well. For instance, Weber makes a really good charcoal grill and a really good gas grill. They also make that really good Weber Smoky Mountain. And then this pellet cooker seems to be living in between those sectors. And I'm not just picking on Weber here because many other pellet cookers make the claim to be able to do grilling at high temps and all that stuff. Although few make claims to get past the 500, you guys are going to 600 and then do the low and slow really well on top of that. Are you not adding direct competition to your own lineup here to a certain degree?
I don't think you're directly adding competition to your lineup. I think you're appealing to a broader base of people that want to grill that want a little more simplicity out of cooking. And gas can be somewhat intimidating. Charcoal can be somewhat intimidating, depending on your grill. And what we found is people like the ease of use with a pellet grill, although there's a lot of shortcomings that come with that, the jamming, the grease management, the vacuums, all the issues that make it a little bit more difficult for people when they buy it, thinking they're getting into like, man, this is going to make my life easier, and it really makes their life harder. We took all that great information, turned it into a great cooker that complements the Weber lineup. And that's the most important thing for us, is it's not something that's going to compete against the Summit, because people that love gas are going to go gas, people that love charcoal are going to go charcoal, but this complements all those areas with the same type of heat performance of going up to 600 degrees in 10 to 15 minutes like you would a gas grill, going down to 225 to 250 to smoke something. So you have a really versatile cooker. Now you can do the same thing on a gas grill. I can cook great brisket using wood that I've stunned 22 out of 23 people thinking something was cooked on gas or something that was cooked on charcoal that was cooked on gas. But more importantly, it has the same look, feel, flavor that a Weber has, and most importantly, delivers that to a consumer.
Kevin, can I hold you over for partially next segment? I got a couple other questions I want to ask you.
No problem.
All right. We are talking with Kevin Coleman here on the show from Weber, and we're talking the Smokefire, just released. Check out Kevin's social media as well, so you can, if you haven't seen it yet, you can see it in person with the videos. Also, some of the other influencers were there. Robin Lindars was there, typically on the show on the third Tuesday of the month. So if you follow her, go to her stories, you can check out what she did. Let me talk to you quickly about Southside Market and Barbecue. Established in 1882, Southside Market is the oldest barbecue joint in Texas. They've been owned and operated by the same family for 3 generations, offering premium Central Texas barbecue products, slow smoked over real wood, shipping, distributing, manufacturing sausages for companies across the U.S., from food trucks to multi-chain restaurants. Southside sausage can be on your menu, too. All meats processed in that on-site USDA-inspected facility. Trusted partner with a focus on quality and authenticity. Wholesale options are available, shipping nationwide via the FedEx. You can also get it through food service distribution channels like Sysco, U.S. Foods, and Martin Foods. Co-packaging capable, from research and development to package completion. They can follow your recipes or help you develop something brand new from scratch. They also have private label opportunities available as well. Visit SouthsideMarket.com for more information, and you can get 10% off your quarter when you order when you visit SouthsideMarket.com. 10% off. Code BBQ Central, BBQ CENTRAL, all lowercase, all one word, BBQ Central. 10% off your online order at SouthsideMarket.com. The first time, and the next time, and the next time after that. Pretty cool rubs out there, too. I just got a pack of those in the mail. We are back with Kevin Coleman from Weber. More Smokefire talk. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by The Smoke Sheet, free weekly newsletter that keeps you in the know on everything happening in the barbecue world, including top news, events, recipes, and more. Started by Ryan Cooper and Sean Ludwig, both of them traveling around the country to find the best barbecue news, then report on it. You can sign up at bbqnewsletter.com, a great all-in-one resource covering the live fire industry. By the way, special shout-out and quick recovery to Ryan Cooper. I'm not going to get into the whole thing there. Stricken with life-threatening stuff, so hopefully he is well on the mend, and he'll be back around soon. In the meantime, we're talking with Kevin Coleman from Weber about the Smokefire. All right, Kevin, so let me get back to some of these other questions that I have. Let's talk tech on this grill. Is there a pressure that I have a whole situation? You know what? I have a whole problem with tech on these freaking pellet cookers, okay? But we'll leave that off to the side. Is there pressure that Weber feels from the consumer that there has to be this kind of tech and there has to be that kind of tech in order to be a viable pellet cooker in this market right now?
No, there wasn't pressure to have tech to really truly be built into it the way that we built in this tech. I think there's always, because the iGrill was so big for us and having Bluetooth technology that could tell your phone when things were cooking and the adjustments, that was such a huge thing for consumers that we were like, well, how do we make that better? And so by making the connection between how food cooks over time and giving people a higher rate of success, we're hoping that's going to create an atmosphere where they want to cook more. So it wasn't like, yeah, we need to have technology. It's like an arms race. It was, can we have technology and deliver something to consumers that they'll actually want and use and help them create better barbecue? And that's part of giving them the best pellet cooker on the market, but then also giving them the best technology that's going to help them succeed, that makes them come back and grill even more.
I mean, is there any way to track how many end users ultimately use their phone interface with the grill or the internal meat probes or, all this other stuff? I have zero, by the way, empirical evidence to support what I'm about to say, but I think 75% of people that have cookers that have some kind of Wi-Fi or some kind of tech on really believed in the beginning that this shit had to have it. Otherwise, they weren't going to consider it. They buy it and they don't use it. The pellet cooker, in essence, is so easy to use as long as pellets are in it. Unless you bought a tremendous piece of crap that you have to babysit all the time, you should keep it full of pellets, set the temperature, and then go back and check it every once in a while. Like, I just don't get it.
Well, I think part of it is, can you design technology that's actually helping the user, which is from all the data collection that we've had, from understanding how meat cooks over time, helping people understand when they flip, helping people understand when food's done, giving them an ETA. So here's your best case scenario, right? I'm cooking a Thanksgiving turkey. I'm going to put it on. How do I know when it's done?
Yeah.
It's going to give you the ETA when it's done. More importantly, if you want to speed up that process, because, hey, this thing is going to take an extra hour or maybe an extra 45 minutes, can I bump the temperature up and get it off faster? You can do that. So it's more of, can we give you the technology that's going to help you succeed and also make it easier for you to create a great grilled meal, because that's some of the shortcomings that we found. So I think when you look at technology, is it going to deliver on that? I know it is, because I'm one of the people that spent over 600 tests logging data and finding data that is helping create better grilled food. And so you could say way back in the day, even some of the hands-on stuff inside of cars, do you really use the stuff? Not really. But what we have found is places like Fireboard, places like Flame Boss, that actually have this technology that's making it easier for people to keep consistent temperatures, log things, create more consistent food that they take off of it. This Weber Connect is going to allow you to do that, but more importantly, it's going to allow you to do that every single time you cook.
Kevin Coleman joining me here on the show. We're talking about smoke fire. Feel free to answer or not answer this, but I'm obligated to ask because your grill has Wi-Fi. Is Weber afraid being taken to court by Traeger for Wi-Fi tech that is in the smoke fire?
I'm not really familiar with all the lawsuits that Traeger's under in the industry. I can just tell you that from a Wi-Fi and control standpoint, it's one of the best that you're going to find out there, and people are going to really enjoy it.
How many models are there to choose from?
There's going to be two models, a 24-inch and a 36-inch.
All right. And then you said like January, people will actually be taking physical delivery of these?
We are going to be shipping, which is another great point. We're going to be manufacturing and assembling these here in Huntley, Illinois, which is fantastic for the Weber brand. Should be shipping early January. And if you continue to be nice, Greg, you might find one in your backyard.
Oh, great.
You can actually see it get to 600 degrees.
You know I'm screwed now, right? I'm totally screwed if I'm going to be. Let me ask you, what is manufactured in the States meat? Like, is that like 100% from every nut, bolt, blah, blah, blah? Or, I mean, are there some offshore parts that are going to be trucked in and they are going to be put together here in the States?
They're going to be put together and assembled. So there's going to be globally sourced parts. So we source parts from the best manufacturers around the world. And great for us is we have such great relationships with so many of those that we're able to find the best quality products. Those all get shipped in. It goes through the manufacturing process here, gets assembled here, and then is going to be shipped out of our Huntley distribution center here in Illinois.
All right. Price points.
So price points, the 24 MSRP is going to be $11.49. The 36 is going to be $13.99.
All right. So, I mean, you're pretty up to speed on what other models are out there and what the other price points are. I mean, how do you feel Weber's fitting in here?
I think at the price point for both of them, you're going to find the best pellet experience that's in the marketplace right now, from a feature benefit standpoint to a user standpoint to a functionality and performance standpoint, from a maintenance standpoint. And then you add the Weber Connect onto there. I mean, I feel sorry for the people that bought a pellet this year, because you're probably going to want to trade those things in and then come back and get yourself a Weber.
Yeah, spoken like a guy that's working for Weber, Weber.com, by the way, Kevin Coleman. Big fan of Weber, no doubt. In regards to pellets, because these are the things that fuel these cookers, is Weber making their own pellet? Are you contracting with a manufacturer to make a Weber branded pellet? What are you doing?
So we are making a Weber branded pellet. What you will find is industry standards about, let's say 20% wood. We're given 2 times the amount of wood smoke flavor inside of our pellets. We're going to have 5 different types, from apple, cherry, mesquite, hickory, and a Grill Master blend that's going to be maple, cherry, and hickory. So 20-pound bags, those are going to be $19.99 MSRP. And they are, in testing a bunch of different pellets, they are the most consistent and some of the most flavorful ones that I've been able to come across. So they're going to be a nice addition to our grill.
So Weber is making them, or you're having them made? You're like, it's a private label with somebody else.
Private label with somebody else.
Now let me ask you about the flavors that you call, and I never thought I would have to ask this question until 2 weeks ago. So I get that there's a blend, a championship blend, or whatever you just called, but what if you have an apple or a cherry or a hickory? Is it a base wood of X percent and then a percent of whatever the flavor is, or are you using some other type of proprietary flavoring additive solution to get the flavor achieved in what's listed on the bag?
Well, what you're going to find on the bag is you're going to find 60% of that flavor is going to come from oak and 40% is going to come from flavor, which is, again, 2 times the industry standard.
Mm-hmm.
We, from an integrity standpoint, we're not going to fill it with things that are not wood flavor. So you are going to find 40% of that wood being apple as a flavor. You're not going to find additives put in. You're not going to find anything else except for natural wood flavor added into those pellets.
All right. Any requirement to use the Weber pellet specifically, or you just hope that people would kind of keep it all in the shop?
Well, Greg, I mean, since I'm a Weber guy, we're gonna talk about a Weber cooker having Weber pellets in it. That's no, I mean, obviously we're going to recommend using Weber pellets in our grill because we've tested those and we know you're going to get the best results. But people can use what we want. It's not going to void your warranty. It's not going to cause you any of those other major issues that you might find with using other grills. Use what you want, but if you want the best results, obviously, make sure you're using Weber pellets.
All right, so obviously I have some Weber fans here that are watching right now because I have 15 emails sitting in my inbox saying, hey, the pellet cooker talk is great. Where the hell am I getting one of those Weber sweatshirts? That thing's badass. You got to work at Weber?
Badass.
No doubt.
You got to work at Weber. You got to do it. This one came all the way from Germany at our
no
Berlin
way.
course. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. No doubt.
I enjoy it. It's almost like a walking billboard, but I felt like I had to wear it on your show because being a Weber guy, I gotta have it on.
Yeah, I wear my own shirt on my own show, by the way. So I mean, I'm the biggest heel of them all, no doubt. Kevin, I got a couple more minutes with you here. Where are you falling out on the Popeye's chicken sando fiasco of 2019? Both versions.
You know, the thing about it is there was so much hype on all the sides of it. And at the end of the day, it's almost like you build up to the hype and you eat it and you're like, it was good. And then you have, it was good. And you're kind of like, I wish I wasn't paying attention because they were both okay. It wasn't like ground.
So you weren't blown away by it?
I definitely wasn't blown away by it.
And did you have to wait in a line in order to get it?
I'm not going to tell you I waited for a long time because there could be some people from Weber listening like, you waited that long in line? What were you doing during that time? So
it was on a Saturday, I swear.
I swear it was a Sunday morning.
Right.
No, because they're not open on Sundays. No, I waited a little bit of time, and they were good. It's one of those things that, like, when your expectation is raised so high, and it kind of doesn't deliver on that, you're like, it's okay. And you go from there. It's similar to like some of the alternative beef out there, just like Impossible. When you have one of their burgers versus meat, it's hard to like going into it. You're like, this is going to be unbelievable. And it's really, really good, but still not meat. Right. So when you're talking about chicken sandwiches, they're going to be really, really good. And they're kind of like, they're good, but you guys raise the stakes so high. It's almost like a letdown.
What's your travel look like over the next handful of weeks?
Travel's actually pretty good. So this weekend we're headed to Austin. Robert Lerma's having a cookout at his backyard, so we're going to be going out there hanging around with a bunch of guys. Bees Cracklin's going to be down there. Charlie McKenna from Lily Q is going to be down there cooking, so we're going to hang out there.
Nice.
Might be going down to Chile early December for a little bit of fun in Chile, promoting barbecue, and then we might have something special coming up towards the end of December, possibly down at the Peach Bowl, so we'll see.
All right, we'll see what's going on there. This is Kevin Coleman. You can check out the website, Weber.com. What's your social media handles there, Kevin?
So social media is on Facebook, it's Weber Grill Master Kevin Coleman. On Instagram, it's just Kevin_Coleman.
All right, Kevin_Coleman. So if you're not giving him a follow, go ahead and do that now. Kevin, always appreciate the extended time that you give to the show, especially here tonight as we talk smoke fire. And, from all accounts, it is a revered piece right out of the gate. So we'll see how it tracks, and we'll have you back on to see how that does here in like a handful of months.
Well, we're hoping that we can get you one, Greg. And you know what? I'm so happy to hear Brian Bracewell and the Southside family are advertisers for your show. It's one of the best butcher shops. His jalapeno cheddar sausage is the best sausage I've ever had in Texas. He's I think they're the fifth generation, the oldest butcher shop and barbecue shop in Texas. Yeah. One of the best ambassadors to barbecue that you're going to find. One of the most humblest, coolest dudes out there. So I'm happy to hear that they're with your show, and he's one of the best that's out there. So congratulations on that.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Always appreciate the time. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. We'll talk to you soon, Greg. Thanks.
All right. There he is, Kevin Coleman. He's a world record holder, too. I don't know if you recall last time he was on the show, he had the world record championship belt slung over his shoulder. I'm trying to figure out if I would rather have the world championship, the world record championship belt, or that sweatshirt. That sweatshirt was badass. Kevin, here we go. Keep the cooker. Send me the sweatshirt. Oh, my. So good. Yeah, not too bad. Going to hang out with Robert Lerma over the weekend. Yeah, nice. He takes really good pictures, by the way. Weber.com, if you want to check it out. Check out Weber's social media. You can see that smoke fire cooking. There couldn't possibly be a more difficult transition to make, but hey, we love to do it. I'm going to talk to you about Green Mountain Grills. That's right. Two of them are on my back porch right now. I have the what did I call it? Oh, damn it. There's the prime line. What did Jason say it was? The competitive line? I call it the classic line, but that's not it. I'm sorry, Jason. I'm having a complete brain fart. I'll call you after the show to get the proper name and write it in. So you have two different lines, right? The original, the flagship line like I have, and then you have the prime line, which was released a little bit earlier in the year. Prime line gives you a little bit more tech, a couple internal meat thermometers instead of just the one. You have the peek-in window on the cooking chamber, peek-in window on the pellet hopper, low pellet alarm, of course. You don't have to pay extra for that. This chassis on the Prime, a little bit more robust here than you would find on the original version. You have the Jim Bowie, which is the biggest one, Daniel Boone, which is middle size. You have the Davy Crockett, which is completely portable. So if you love to do cookouts on the run, or you love to tailgate, because we're halfway through the NFL season and really getting close to the end of the college football season now, and you love wood-fired pellet goodness, no matter where you go, Davy Crockett's going to be the one you want to take on. Davy Crockett has a 12-volt power technology, so if you don't have access to a traditional power outlet, you can just plug the 12-volt adapter right into your 12-volt outlet in your car. That thing's powered up, and you're ready to go. Now, the other two Prime has 12-volt technology. The other ones are traditional plug-ins. Both of those options, you can rip the guts out, drop the Green Mountain Grill pizza oven insert in it. Oh, boy, now we're having fun. Tomorrow, Slow and Low Barbecue. Today, pizza party. And everybody can make one because the thing gets up to, it can get all the way up to 1,000 degrees if you want. I find my wheelhouse to be more in that 650, 700 range, a little bit more window of error. Because once that thing turns south at 1,000 degrees, there's like zero room for recovery there. But everybody can make their own. Everybody loves it. I want pepperoni. I want just cheese. I want all raw onion. Screw that. I don't want any of that. You can take your raw onion pizza and go sip your eggnog with that. I don't want it. GreenMountainGrills.com is the place to go to check it all out. You can buy from your local dealer. GreenMountainGrills.com is the place you can also find your local dealer. That's GreenMountainGrills.com. We're back to wrap the show right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
All right, we thank Kevin Coleman again for joining me on the show. The past two segments talking about the new pellet cooker. You know, I was interested to hear if, I don't know, like you have a company the size of Weber and you think, do they ever want to be ahead of trend? And then you see where they're coming into the pellet market. I mean, you know, the Traeger pellet or patent well expired, a whole bunch of other manufacturers coming in. And what it appears to be like they've just laid out, taken it all in, seen what other people are liking, seen what other people aren't liking, and then, as Kevin said, tried to make it more appealing to and fix some of the things that people aren't digging about the pellet experience. And I was totally anti-pellet for the longest time. Then I got, it was the Grilla cooker. That was the first pellet cooker I ever had. And I just donated that to somebody up the street who was loving it now. And that was an original Grilla, by the way, an OG. And then I got a couple Green Mountain Grills, and then I got a Traeger. And every experience that I've had with a pellet cooker, by and large, has been ease of use, great product, easy to manage, make sure it's full of pellets. I mean, I'm a total convert. I would absolutely have at least one pellet cooker in my arsenal going forward all the time. And yes, if I had to pay for it, I would pay for it. There wasn't a bigger hater, not vocally, but I was just not a part of it. Thought it was cheating and all that other crap. And I'm coming around. I'm not saying that it's not easy to use one of those, but I do know fire management. I can run a Lang all day long and burn sticks. I can run a Weber Smoky Mountain for 24 hours straight, not have to. I know all that stuff. I can do the fire management stuff. If I want to run a pellet cooker, yeah, I'll run a pellet cooker. Why not? I can do that. I got plenty. Let's recap it. All the way back in the first hour, Stephen Raichlen and I barbed about Thanksgiving and other things. Great information there. So if you're wondering what you should be doing for Thanksgiving, or you have the traditional questions, go back and get the pod. It'll be released here in a few short mementos. Thursdays will be the release of the second hour best of on Friday. After Stephen Raichlen, we talked with Sterling Ball from Big Poppa Smokers and the Smithfield National BBQ Championship. Congratulations to Fred Robles for being the inaugural world champion. Or national champion, I guess I should say. And then the second hour, Kevin Coleman from Weber Grills, Weber.com. You can go there to check out the new Smoke Fire and see if that's something you might get into. That's the new pellet cooker. How about that? Yeah, they're in. Weber now officially into the into the pellet cooker market. Does it interest you? Hit me up, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
Hello, everybody. This is Gary Vaynerchuk, host of Wine Library TV, a.k.a. WLTV, the #1 wine show on the internet. And this is BBQ Central.